We really need to stop meeting like this. So this is going to be a very exciting video. This is going to be my first video that I'll be uploading fresh in 2022. And it's going to be a very soothing, cozy reading vlog. It's going to be a vlog where I reset myself and prepare myself for the upcoming battle, which is known to be the work week. I have a lot of things that I have to think about and to take care of in the month of January. There's just non-stop things that are coming my way, and February is definitely going to be a very super busy month for me at work too as well. So when people are really excited about the year 2022, I cannot relate. I literally have no goals whatsoever, no personal goals, no health goals. I only have a reading goal, and I guess that's the most important goal. But I have no goals going into 2022 because all I can think about is work. So I thought that we will also start off this reading vlog with some skincare too as well. If you guys didn't know, I uploaded a booktube goals video while I did my skincare, and it's like a nightly skincare routine that I sometimes do when I'm not very lazy. Now, I typically don't put on face masks because I completely forget that I have a mud face mask that I can use. I only use a mud face mask when I feel like I need to collect the pieces of my life together because I feel like my life is falling apart. So for this reading vlog, I'm actually going to also read a bunch of classic novels. I have a tendency to want to read a genre, binge the genre until I get sick of it, and then move on to another genre. So last year, I was watching Emmy books, and I love Emmy. She's very soothing, she's very calm. She's definitely one of those booktubers that I watch religiously every single week right before I start work to reset my life and to feel that I have a good balance. She's so soothing, she's so calming, she's everything that I want to be as a booktuber. And she reads like a lot of classics. She reads literature, she reads, you know, children fables and fairy tales, and it's just so fun to watch her because normally I would never pick up those books, but the way that she talks about those books makes me want to read them. And I thought that, like, since last year I started off my year with a lot of classic novels, I thought that this year will be good too to start off with classic novels as well. So the one classic novel that I started to read on December 31st of 2021 was actually Fahrenheit 451. So I literally thought Fahrenheit 451 was called Fahrenheit 451, but the audiobook started off with 451. So I am stupid, and I'm clearly not Emma. But what I do like about Fahrenheit 451 is literally the entirety of the book. It's basically set in kind of like a dystopian world where books are no longer allowed, and anytime there is a book, there's like a law where you have to burn it within like 24 hours, or you just have to burn it as soon as possible. And our main character is a firefighter, and he has been taught his whole life that books are awful. They are stupid and you should never read them because they will change the way you're thinking, and it's not even anything notable to read. So he's been burning all throughout his career. He's married in like kind of like a loveless marriage to a woman whose life is quickly deteriorating as soon as you start the book. He one day picks up a book and he keeps it, and he's like sweating bullets, but he's so intrigued by it because there's this next door neighbor, and it's like this younger girl, and the younger girl has like persuaded him into thinking things differently and thinking about things differently from what the government has been telling him. And he sets out to go actually read what books are about and what the hype is, and he collects like books here and there. He also starts to realize that his job is not what it's supposed to be because they don't care. Like, the people on his team, they don't care if somebody dies while they're burning a book. If these people don't leave their books alone, they will set the whole pile of books on fire, including the person who's trying to grab the books out of the pile. And it's horrific to read or to like listen to via audiobook, and I love it so much. It's so interesting, and it's like only 5 hours long, so if you guys are looking for a short classic, definitely go pick that up. I have around 2 hours left of this audiobook to finish, and I kind of want to cheat my 2022 reading challenge already. I want to actually like read up to the point that I can finish it easily in the new year and then call that my first book of 2022. Okay, so now that I look like this, I think I am ready to just let my face set and I want to listen to more of my audiobook. But for today, I actually plan to really just sit back and relax and watch my Korean drama. I have 2 episodes to watch. I'm so excited to watch it. It's literally, I watch K-dramas for escapism, the same reason as why I read books, to escape. Because honestly, the pandemic season 3 is so boring and I want it to be over ASAP. I also got my booster shot yesterday and I don't feel great. My back is killing me. My body is aching. I had the chills today. I woke up feeling like I got hit by a truck, took an Advil, drank coffee, and I was like ready to go. But then somewhere around noon, my Advil stopped working. But for 2 hours, I was just kind of really just struggling to even make sense of what was on my screen at work. But I'm going to take you with me on the rest of my night. POV, this is how I look like when I'm watching TikToks in bed. I am literally buried up to my neck because it's so cold here in Canada. But I feel like a complete bag of bones. I am breaking apart as we speak, and I got the body ache. I don't think I can stay up till New Year's Day because I'm just so exhausted. I don't know, that's a lie. I never sleep anyways. Even when I'm dead, I don't sleep. But I have 10 more minutes left of Fahrenheit 451, and I will make that my first book of 2022. Sue me. Call the GoodReads police that I am committing a crime of reading a book 90% way in 2021 and then counting it towards my 2022 challenge. And then also, like, just a quick PSA. The GoodReads challenge is just a GoodReads challenge. It had started off for fun for myself. If I tell you I read an obscene number of books each year, just ignore me because it's just literally a competition against myself. It's not a competition against you. You don't compare yourself to me. I am literally just insane. So don't feel bad. Hi, hello. I put on makeup because I just finished filming of my best books of 2021 video. And I also finished Fahrenheit 451 this morning. I went for a walk with my mom just to stretch out my body. I definitely feel a lot better after my booster shot and after like a good night's rest. But I finished Fahrenheit 451. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. And GoodReads is down right now because everybody is updating their GoodReads challenge, just like how, you know, everybody is going to the gym right now so that they can complete their 2022 resolutions. Fahrenheit 451 is such an interesting novel. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and I also went on SparkNotes and Wikipedia too to make sure that I fully understood the concept of the book, as well as understanding like different parts of the book so that, you know, I didn't miss anything interesting. So even the title itself is so freaking cool. So Fahrenheit 451 is not just like a random number or a random temperature. It's literally the temperature that paper will ignite on fire. And the whole book is about burning books. So I thought that title was so clever. Top 10 titles of my life, basically, that I really enjoy. So this book is about how society turns into this mindless glob that doesn't think for themselves. Like, they just don't think anymore. They don't have different perspectives to look at it, because through books we can learn through different perspectives. We can question the government, we can question others, we can question religion, we can question like everything, because books give all these unique different perspectives. But because we're burning all these books, nobody thinks for themselves anymore, and they just take it as is. And then later on, what this book also refers to is that how a lot of people are turning into these zombies who consume media. And I thought that was so interesting too, because nowadays it's just rare that nobody has a cell phone. It's rare that people are not addicted to like Instagram, to booktube, to TikTok, to Facebook. Like, we're just learning and consuming all this media, and it's changing the way we think, and it's changing the way that, you know, messages are being conveyed. It's like all different. And this book predicted it, because it was written back in like the 1950s, but it predicted that this was going to be the future, that the future would be a bunch of people who would no longer start reading anymore and just learn through these different forms of media and be kind of like brainwashed into thinking a certain way about things. But yeah, like, I just really liked it. I really enjoyed it, and I can definitely see why it is a classic and everybody enjoyed it. The next novel that I'm reading is a Jane Austen novel. This one's called Northanger Abbey, and I picked it up because it was only 7 hours long through an audiobook. And it's about our heroine, who is a plain Jane type of person. She's not the most beautiful, nobody really wants to talk to her, she's not the most popular, and she goes into Bath during a season, and she goes to like this like party with someone that she knows, and she thinks that she's gonna have like the best time possible, but it turns out to be like the most awkward thing ever, because she's a wallflower and nobody even wants to look at her. Everybody thinks that she's taking up space because they don't know her, right? They're giving her like a questionable look of why she's there. There she also meets an acquaintance, and that is our hero, and she falls in love with our hero. And I think the synopsis goes is that they become closer, they move in together, you know, they're courting, and she reads a lot of gothic novels, because she's not like particularly really smart, but she really likes to read, and the type of genre that she likes to read is gothic novels. And I think that this book might turn into something with a gothic theme to it, like maybe like the house in Northanger Abbey has something in it that makes her a little bit wary of what's going to happen next in her life. But so far, I'm really enjoying it, and I highly recommend you to check out Jane Austen or any classic novels through the use of audiobooks if you feel like your attention span is not long enough to pay attention to the olden English that's used, because that's how I read my classic novels. And I even turn down the speed to like 2.5 to really comprehend what's happening in the book when I'm listening to the audiobook. So I'm really enjoying it so far. Okay, so I need to wrap up this vlog, but basically yesterday I was able to finish Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen, and it is my first 1-star read of 2022. It's very sad, it's very disappointing, because I thought that I would love all Jane Austen novels, but of course we found the one dud. Basically, Jane Austen wrote Northanger Abbey. It's her first novel ever, but it wasn't published because a publisher took it and said, you know what, we don't want it. so it never ended up getting published. But then all her other works got a lot of great attention, great deals. So then that's when publishers actually started publishing her first ever written novel. Now, this book is set in 2 parts, and they are very different from each other. The tones are completely different. We have the first part in the book that sounds like exactly like any Jane Austen novel that you're familiar with. We get a female heroine who falls in love with someone, and then there is conflict between them that stops them from getting together very earlier on in the book. Our female heroine meets her best friend, which is named Isabella, and Isabella has an older brother that Isabella wants to set Catherine up with. Catherine has an older brother for Isabella to fall in love with. So it seems like it's going to be this very perfect best friend, older brother romance where both of them fall in love with each other's older brothers. And it seems really good until Catherine is very adamant and says that she does not want to marry Isabella's older brother. We move on to the second part where she gets invited to go to this abbey, and she goes to Northanger Abbey. She's really like amazed by it. It's her first time going to an abbey. She's exploring the halls, but she lets her imagination run a little bit wild, and she thinks that there are ghosts and there are like mysteries happening in the abbey, and she ends up making a fool of herself. And then that's just basically the biggest conflict that she has. Now, I also didn't know that Northanger Abbey was actually a gothic fiction parody. I literally thought that this book was going to be spooky. I thought it was going to be dramatic, but for the first part of the book, I was just like vibing with the sweetness that Jane Austen's known for. And then the second book took a weird turn and twist that I just don't like and I don't care for. I thought that the book dragged on for the first part, and then I thought the second part was just plain silly. So I ended up really hating the book because Catherine, our heroine, always listens to Isabella, her best friend, no matter how manipulative she is and how wrong Isabella is. I think Isabella is a classic villain in our story. She's just so childish, she's spoiled, and she is a gold digger. All she cares about is marrying someone who can provide her a vast amount of wealth. So after I finished that book, I actually picked up another classic novel. Now this one is actually a Japanese book that has been translated into English, and I think one of my viewers have actually recommended me to read book number 1 in this series, but only book number 2 was available, so I decided to pick up that audiobook. So book number 2 is called Tales from the Café, and this is by, I'm gonna butcher his name, but his name is Toshikazu Kawaguchi. Definitely butchered it. But the first book in the series is called Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and this one is a weird fantasy novel. Not really a fantasy novel. I don't know what the proper word for it is, but it has elements of fantasy in it. Basically, it's this very well-known cafe in Japan where if you drink a cup of coffee and you sit at this one specific seat, you can travel back into time to a specific instance that you want to go back to, so you could talk to people, or you could also travel to the future. A lot of the guests choose not to travel to the future because it's harder to travel into the future, and if you miss it by a couple of seconds, then you kind of just miss your time slot of sitting in the cafe and enjoying that time slot and that chance to, you know, do what you want to do. And the whole point of this coffee scenario is that you have to drink this very special cup of coffee that the barista brews you, and your time is limited to that cup of coffee. So if that cup of coffee is done, or if it gets cold, then you are automatically transported back to present time. This book is a fairly short book, and it follows many different short stories of different people traveling back time, and you get to learn their backstories, and then you feel very emotional about it. But I am a mood reader, and unfortunately I wasn't in the mood to read all these emotional stories, and I didn't connect to any of the characters at all. And it was only until I read a review from my friend on GoodReads that you're actually supposed to read book number 1 first in order to truly understand and truly appreciate book number 2. So it was my fault for reading book number 2 before book number 1, but I gave that book a 2 stars. So I know I'm wrapping up my reading vlog, but I also wanted to mention that I'm still on my classics kick and I picked up another classic novel. This one is a gothic fiction in its true sense, in its true form. It's from Shirley Jackson. I really like Shirley Jackson's writing. I especially really enjoyed her short story called The Lottery. I read that back in high school and let me tell you, it traumatized me. If you guys are looking for a very spooky Hunger Games style short story, definitely go check that one out. It had the best plot twist and I just chef's kiss. Loved it so much. But basically Shirley Jackson is also known for her novel The Haunting of Hill House, and I read that last year during, I think, around Halloween time, and I really enjoyed that one. I think that's the book that got turned into many TV shows that I haven't watched yet. Anyways, I wanted to read another Shirley Jackson novel, so I picked up Hangsaman, or Hangs a Man, and it's actually the second book that Shirley Jackson has ever written. So far, I'm liking it. It's basically a coming-of-age gothic fiction novel. Our heroine is Natalie. She has been raised by a very strict father, and her father is egotistic, he's manipulative, he's a very strict man, and he has basically tried to mold Natalie into this perfect daughter, and she always compares herself to others, so she loses a lot of joy. She's not really a normal teenager anymore. Anyways, she goes to college and she's kind of socially awkward. She's different. In the first part of the book, we already know that Natalie is in deep trouble. She's being interviewed by a detective for crimes that she committed, but we don't know what are the crimes that she has committed. And I've listened to the foreword from, I think, like an English professor. I don't know who spoke in the foreword, but basically she told the readers that she was so haunted by this book and she was so captivated by the story that she literally could not read fast enough, but she also wanted to read slower so that she can take in every single word that Shirley Jackson was writing. So that definitely made me more excited to finish this audiobook. So I'm listening to it here and there, but honestly, it's sometimes I'm just waiting for something crazy to happen. And I do get confused sometimes because it does go before and after a lot, and you don't know if it's like after until like the detective kind of just shows up in the scene. So I'll try to update you guys on my thoughts on this book if I film another reading vlog. But if you guys like this reading vlog, definitely let me know in the comments to, I don't know, motivate me to film more. And I'll see you guys again next time in a new video. Bye.